Okay guys, now we're going to get into we want the categories in the sidebar to be automatically generated and also the most popular. Now, since this is located in basically a partial, the sidebar, and you could say the same for the header and the footer, we don't really have a controller for that unless you want to put code in every single controller where this is going to be on that page. But what I do in situations like this is use a helper. Alright, and that's exactly what we did in the last project for the sidebar. We had a helper to fetch categories from the database. Alright, so let's go to our Notepad++, and just want to close a couple things here for now. First of all, you have to auto-load, or not auto-load, but you have to load your helpers. So in the auto-load config file, I'm going to go up to helpers, and I'm just going to add to it here. And it's going to be called the DB helper. So I'm just going to put DB. And well, probably use the form helper as well. So let me put that in as well. Alright, so I'll save that. Now I'm going to go to my folder, my application folder, and inside the helpers folder I'm going to create a new file and call it db_helper.php. Okay, now helpers are not classes, they're just groups of functions, so we don't have to worry about encapsulation or anything like that. These are basically just separate functions. Okay, so let's add a little comment here. Get categories. Alright, so this is going to be function. We don't need public or private or anything like that. Function get underscore categories underscore h. And the underscore h isn't needed. It's just something that I do just to know that it's a helper function. Feel free to call it what you want. Now, since we're not in a library, we're not in a controller or a model, so if we want to deal with the database, or a model rather, you don't directly deal with the database in a helper, you actually connect to the model. But we can't say like this product model, we can't do that. What we need to do is get an instance, because we're not directly in a controller. So to do that, we want to create a variable. I use CI, alright, for CodeIgniter, and I'm going to say equals get underscore instance. Alright, and that'll bring a controller, a CodeIgniter instance into this function. And then we can do things like CI, we'll say CI, actually let's create a variable first. Categories, let me get rid of this. Categories equals CI product model get categories, and then just return categories. Alright, so usually you'd see this DB, you'd see this, the THIS keyword, this, but since we're in a helper, we can't use that. We need to get an instance to a variable and then use that as an object to access our models and so forth. So obviously right now we need to create the get categories method inside of the product model. So let's save that, go to the product model, Okay, so here we'll say public function get categories. This should be a really easy function. I'm just going to actually copy the get products. It's basically the same thing, just a different table. Alright, so I'm going to change products to categories. And everything else should be the same, so let's save that, and then we should be able to, in our products, in our sidebar file, we should be able to access the helper function, which will access the model, which will access the database. Alright, so let's go to views, layouts, includes, sidebar, and find the categories. Alright, so categories are right here. So under this UL, I am going to say PHP for each. We want to say for each get categories H as category, and we only need to take one of these, and PHP end for each. Okay, and now I'm going to get rid of all these. So for every category in the database, it's going to spit out a list item, and of course we want to make this dynamic, so let's replace this with PHP echo category name. Okay, let's see if that works. Okay, so we're getting an error. Undefined variable get categories H. Alright, so this is actually our helper function. It shouldn't have a $sign. And let's make sure that's the name of it. Get categories H. Yep. Alright, let's try that. And there we go. Now you can see that these are being pulled from the database. Now basically I want these to link to the products controller. And actually I'm going to have them go to products/category. So let's just add that as a link to each category title. So we'll say PHP echo base URL, and then it's going to go to products/category / and then the category ID. Alright, so let's make sure that that does that. Products category 2. Alright, good. So now what we want to do is, under most popular, right now it looks like it just has the category names, but what we want is listings from our orders table. Okay, so we don't have any orders now, so I'm just going to throw in some. Let me just log in here, and I want to go to orders and then insert, and let me just fill in some stuff. Product 1, user 1, transaction ID can be 0, quantity 1, price $59.99, address 55 Main Street, Boston, Massachusetts, 01951. Alright, so we have an order in there. So what we want to do is we're going to do the same thing. We're going to use a helper function. So in DB help, in DB helper, I'm just going to paste in a simple function. Alright, so get popular H, and same thing, we're going to get an instance, and then we're going to call this get popular function in the model, and then just return the products. Alright, so let's save that and then go to product model, and I'm just going to paste this in. Alright, so with this example we're actually using it like how our last project did. We're actually putting in the query. We're not just using this this style of active record. Okay, we're actually saying select. Wait a minute. Never mind. We are using the same kind of syntax. Select p dot. What we're doing though is we're kind of using placeholders, or not placeholders, aliases. We're saying select orders as O, products as P. That way we can differentiate fields by table. So O.product_ID is pertaining to the orders database. P.ID is pertaining to the products database. Because what we're doing is selecting products, but we're selecting orders, but we're joining in the products table so that we can actually have things like the product title, things like that available to us. And then we're just saying we want to group by product ID. And then, of course, we're just going to order by total, which is going to be the number of records returned. I'm sorry, not the number of records returned, but the number of instances for each product. If you have a product that has been ordered 5 times, and then you have a product that's been ordered once, the one that was ordered 5 times is going to be at the top of the list. That's what we mean with this order. Alright, so hopefully that was somewhat clear. So I'm going to save that, and in our sidebar you can go down to this most popular, and I'm just going to overwrite this entire unordered list, make it smaller. So actually we're saying for each get popular as popular, and then we're just spitting out the title. Alright, and we can actually have a link to the actual product, so let's do that. Base URL, and then it's going to go to products / details / and then we want the ID, so PHP echo popular ID. Alright, so if we reload that, now you can see most popular. We only have one order, so that's what's showing up is the Destiny game. Alright, and if we click on that, it takes us to the details page. So that's the most popular. And I think that's good for now. In the next video, I want to get into, we're going to create the cart controller so that we can actually add products to our cart, and then ultimately we're going to use a PayPal class to actually bring the customer to PayPal to make payment.